Hello, I'm Tilly and welcome to my kitchen. Today I wanted to talk to you a bit about how I've been prepping, the things I've been buying in for my prepping pantry. Now prepping is a really individual thing. It's going to be different for each family, for each household, for each country. It's going to be different for everybody. And now I'm not prepping for survival as in we've got to grow our own everything, we've got to filter our own water and mill our own flour. That's a separate issue altogether. Now, I'm not saying that shouldn't be done and can't be done. Absolutely, it can, and in some cases should be done. What I'm just talking about is things that we can buy for our prepping pantry. Things that are already, in the shops that we can just go out and buy. So it will be available to most people. So I've put together a list of 20 items, 20 groups of food really, because I was looking through my store cupboard and seeing the types of variety of food that I've got. So I've put a list together of 20 different things, and I'll go, they're not in any particular order. So the sort of things I'm thinking about for this prepping is to get calories in. So if things become very, very short or you're confined to houses for whatever reason, we need to get the calories in just to feed ourselves and fill ourselves and get some nutrients inside of us. Now, I'm not relying on freezer foods just in case that the power goes off and we lose the freezer food. I'm not going to rely on freezer food. We've only got a very small freezer anyway. So for me, I will rely more on the longer life food, the things that you put on the shelf and know that will be good for years. Tinned food will keep for years, well past its use by date. So tinned food is great. Dried food is great. So I'm not going to mention all the freezer food or anything like that. I'm just going to go through the things that I think are great for buying in for our storage, our personal storage. So the first thing is peanut butter, nuts. Now nuts haven't got a very long shelf life. They will start to go rancid. So if you're getting these sort of things in your store, remember to rotate them and write the date on them so it's easy to see. And as you buy new ones in, bring the older dates to the front of your store shelves and use up the older packages first. So that's nuts, and they're full of really good fats and proteins. Peanut butter is great. It's got a longer shelf life than, say, a packet of nuts. And peanut butter is a great source of protein, good fats, and really, really good to have in. Now, this is the Asda Just Essentials range, and it was only £1.05p. So good to have in. The date on this one is 9/23, so September 2023. So it's got quite a good shelf life on it. Do remember to rotate, as I mentioned earlier. So number 2 on my list is cereals. Cereals are great to have in. They're easy to eat, easy to just put in a bowl, milk if you've got it, and eat it that way, or you can just eat it as snack foods. So really quick and easy food to have in. So that is number 2 on my list is cereals, whatever cereals obviously you prefer. So number 3 on my list is tinned fish and tinned meats. So whatever tinned fish or tinned meat you prefer if you eat fish and meats. They're a great source of protein and really quite essential to have. And the omega-3 oils, the good fats, the vitamins, all in these tinned fish, especially the oily type. Really, really good. And things like this corned beef can be mixed with so many different things to make a great meal. So that's number 3 on my list. Number 4 is tinned or dried vegetables. Now, obviously, we all know fresh is best. We all know that. But if you can't get fresh, then tinned or dried is a really, really good alternative, or frozen if you're using your freezer. But a really good alternative. They do not lose their nutrients. When you dry food, it can lose vitamin C, but it doesn't lose all its nutrients. So brilliant alternative to fresh veg. So just a mixed veg, some mushy peas, chopped tomatoes. Now I have loads of chopped tomatoes because they get used for so many different meals. And sweet corn, whatever veg that you like is brilliant. Just get whatever you like. But tinned veg is my number 4. So number 5 is meals in a tin. It's a complete meal. You can just eat this on its own, open the tin and eat it straight out of the tin cold if you have to. And obviously it's nicer to warm it up or add it with other things. But if you have to, a meal in a tin is brilliant. So we've got some chili con carne. We've got Irish stew, which is actually really nice. And we've got vegetable soup and a chicken soup. Now these are great mixed with rice, actually cooked in with the rice. It really, really flavours up lovely. So that is my number 5, is a meal in a tin. And don't forget your tin opener. So number 6 on my list is a group of foods really. It's the dried pasta. So we've got lasagna sheets and pasta shapes. And to go with those, we've got our tomato bases. So passata, bolognese sauce, and the tomato puree. So these will just on their own with the pasta and the sauce make a nice tasty meal. Always nice to add other things to it, of course, but if you haven't got other things, these are great and these keep for ages. So really, really good to have in and keep in your prepping pantry. So number 7 is water. Now, we are quite lucky in the UK. We don't often lose water supply, but we have, and it does happen sometimes. And over my lifetime, we've been without water quite a few times, but never for very long periods of time. But you never know what's going to happen to the water supply. Water supply is a strange thing because whereas we think we may have water supply forever, our water supply is very easily contaminated, whether by accident or by design. Or we can just have drought and be very short supply on water. Sometimes it's turned off just to save water for a few hours a day or a few days sometimes. Now, water is vital, as we all know. We have to have water to survive. And we actually need about, well, a minimum of 4 litres a day per person, which is just about a gallon, just short of a gallon. And that is for drinking, for mixing with our foods if we're using dry foods, and for cooking our foods like the pastas and all that sort of stuff, and for hygiene. So water is vital, and hopefully we don't ever have to use our bottled water, but always good to have in, just in case. Number 8 on the list is powdered milk. And this is brilliant. This was recommended to me by quite a few people in the comment sections under my video, and I'd never heard of it before. I'd used other powdered milks, but not this one, and this is really great. This is a 900 gram tin of Nido, and it's an instant full cream milk powder, and it's brilliant. And it usually has about 2-year lifespan, use by date on it, but it does keep longer than that. There are different sizes of this. There's a 450 gram one, this is a 900, and there are bigger ones. If you can get hold of it, really, really good to have in. Whole milk powder, the type that you can just put spoonfuls in your coffee mate, which makes your coffee nice and creamy. The UHT style milks, now they haven't got a massively long shelf life, so do rotate them if these are the sort that you like to keep in, but all good to keep in. And evaporated milk, tinned evaporated milk, it's going to last basically forever because it's tinned. Now obviously it's full of calcium and your vitamin D, so we do need our milks. So that was number 8. Number 9 is just basic salt and pepper. It's surprising how such a basic thing as this can really make a difference to cooking meals. Even just rice and pasta. If you just got a little bit of salt and pepper, it's going to make a huge difference to the flavours. It really brings out the flavours of foods. So that's why salt and pepper make it onto my list. And number 10 is herbs and spices. Now, even the most boring of meals can be jazzed up and with a bit of herbs and spices. So always in my pantry, but I am stocking up even more with my spices. My herbs I grow in these little tubs, and I just have these outside my kitchen door for when I need them. So I've got lots of different types of herbs growing out the front. So that's how I do mine. I do have some dried ones which I've dried off over the years. Just beautiful. But if you can't grow your own, if you haven't got anywhere to grow your own, you can always buy dried herbs. So herbs and spices is a must for my cooking. Number 11 is tinned and dried fruits. So dried fruits are brilliant for snacking on, healthy snacks. And tinned fruits get that extra nutrients in, and it's always nice to have a bit of sweetness in with all the dry and the savoury stuff. So tinned fruits and dried fruits, brilliant, whatever you prefer. Number 12 is good old basic rice. Now, white rice keeps longer than any wholemeal rices, so white rice will keep for years and years and years, and it's so versatile. You can either boil it up or you can fry it up or use it however you want. And like I mentioned earlier, it's great used with just a tin of soup cooked in with it, and it really gives it a nice flavour. Well, obviously you can use it with your chili con carne or however you want to use it. Really good basic food. Like most of us know how good rice is. So that's my number 12. So number 13 is our lentils, pulses, beans and all that sort of stuff. It's pearl barley. They're all really cheap and really high in fibre. A really good source of fibre. And they're just so cheap. You can just chuck them into soups, stews and casseroles, that sort of thing. And it includes chickpeas, tinned chickpeas, and also baked beans. All good sources of fibre. Number 14 is sugar and, more importantly, honey. Now, if you had to choose the one, I would always choose honey. It's a really good substitute for replacing any sugar, like the granulated sugar. The honey is just a natural food, naturally produced. It's really good for medicines. It's good if you're for covering wounds, for instance, if you get cuts and things like that. Put some honey over it; it treats it lovely. It's a really good use of sugar for using for sugar, and it's so tasty. But it is so good for you, and it keeps much longer than a bag of sugar. That just keeps for forever, really. So if I had a choice, if I had to choose one, I would definitely choose honey. So number 15 is oils and fats. So any sort of oil, whether it's vegetable oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, sesame oil, any oil that you use, oils are used a lot. So I always have a good supply of oil in. And also coconut oil. Now, coconut oil is brilliant. It can be used for all sorts of things, like your hair care products, your skin care, and cooking in as a bonus. So that's great. And then I've got my ghee, which is my homemade ghee. You can buy ghee. It's quite expensive, but you can make ghee out of butter or cream. This is made out of butter. I have got a video on how I made my ghee, so I will link that below this video if you want to go and check it out. But it's basically a fortified butter, so it gets rid of all the things that you don't want in your butter. So it makes it so it's shelf stable, and that will keep for a long time when you make it the way I've made it. So it's properly sealed and all that sort of stuff. But that's brilliant, and it's really good stuff, and it just keeps forever. Well, not forever, but a long time. So that was number 15. Number 16 is potatoes. Whether you use tinned potatoes or powdered flaked, however you like to use your potatoes. I prefer the tinned potatoes because you can just chop them up, fry them up, or you have them however you want. Really, really good food to have in. Very versatile and can be used with lots of the other different foods on this list. So that was my number 16 is potatoes. Number 17 is tea and coffee. Now, it's not a completely essential food to have in your diet, but it's a really nice food to have. Tea and coffee are, to me, essentials. If you can get them, if they can be in your pantry, then I will always have these in my pantry. Coffee, good old Yorkshire tea, and green tea. We drink loads of green tea, so I'm always getting that in, and I always have a really good supply of Yorkshire tea in. It's our tea of choice. So tea and coffee to save our sanity. Number 18 is for the pets. So we cannot forget our pets. We have dogs, so we buy the great big bags of dried dog food and then supplement it with tinned dog food. So we have made sure we've got plenty of food in for the dogs because they come first. Our dogs they're like children, really. As big as they are, they are like children. So we must make sure get plenty of food in for pets, whatever pets you have. We have dogs. Number 19 is porridge oats. Such a good food, so versatile, like so many of us. It will mix and match with a lot of the other foods. You can just put water on it overnight, even if it's cold water, put water on it, let it soak overnight, and that's ready to eat. But you can use it for toppings on foods and all sorts of things. So it's a real vital for us pantry store food. So number 20 for us is the sweet treats. So always make sure we have some sweet treats in for when we really feel the need. So that's number 20 on our list, and I have put it as one of the vital things that we need to keep in our pantry. So that's my list of 20 foods or food types to have in. Don't forget the tin opener, like I mentioned before. So always make sure you've got the tin opener with your tinned food pantry. Now, a lot of these things I've done so it can just be opened and eaten if necessary. If there's no source of power, you can't heat it, there's always a tin that you can open, a packet that you can open and just eat as is, or just to soak and eat. So that's my theory that I was thinking. Just get stuff that you can just eat as is, or very little preparation. So what are you getting in for your food pantry? Have I missed anything off the list? I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've missed loads of things. This isn't a complete list. This is just the 20 highlighted things that I thought I would get in and mention to you to hopefully give you some ideas. So if you've got any ideas of things that would help other people, just leave it in the comments below and hopefully it will help more people. So I do hope that was helpful for you, and I do hope that your prepping is going really, really well, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.